Okay, hello and welcome to another week. Today I'm going to talk about cameras and lenses. So I took a long time trying to pick this camera up and I love it. But it's not just the body that you need, it's the lens. And when I found out how much you actually need to know about lenses, my mind exploded. There was just so much detail that I needed to take in, so many numbers, 50mm, 30mm, 24, 70, 70, 200, and then on top of that, then there's another number, an f point something or other, that's like the aperture. It was a lot. As you can tell, I'm talking really fast. I want to break it down the simplest way I can for you guys. I'm gonna learn it and tell you as I'm learning it. I've got the kit lens with me. I've also got a Sony 50mm lens. I think it's like a 1.4 aperture, but honestly, it gets confusing. So let's break it down. So here we go. Two lenses, they look very similar. What's this? This is the 2860 kit lens. This comes with the, no it doesn't, comes with the Sony A7C if you choose to have the kit lens. This is a mini zoom lens. It has an aperture of 4 to 5.6, which isn't particularly great, but it does that. Woo. This, on the other hand, is a little nifty 50, Sony's version. Okay, it's got a 1.8 aperture and it's a 50mm prime lens, so this just stays at the same focal length. So I'm going to take a couple of pictures so you can see the difference in what I mean by aperture and the different apertures. So I don't know what I'm saying. Okay, I'm going to take a couple of pictures with each of these lenses to show you the difference and what I mean. But I need my phone because I use that as a little button for selfies. All right, so let's get to it. Hey, so change of scenery. Change of clothing, apologise, the bright yellow jumper wasn't the best idea for the pictures, but that wasn't meant to be amazing pictures. The pictures were more of a test and trial. And I'm starting to get a hang of the idea of all these different numbers. So basically the f-stop, the lower the number, the blurrier the effect. The higher the number, the crisper the effect. So if you're taking landscapes, I guess that you're going to want a higher number anyway, because you're going to want everything in focus. Let's have a look at these two pictures. One picture, two picture. Difference is aperture. One's got a slightly higher aperture. It's got a slightly more detailed background, only slightly. I think the image still has the effect I was going for in terms of like a portrait picture. Okay, and then the other one's got a lower aperture, so a lower number means a blurry effect in the background of a 1.8. These next two pictures, same sort of thing. You can see more detail with the higher aperture of the whole picture. I decided that I wanted to take a slightly further away picture, just wanted to see how far I could go with still being kind of in focus. And again, the same effect. The lower the aperture, the blurrier the background, so not everything's in focus, and the higher the aperture, the higher the number, 5.6, you can start to see a little bit more detail that's going on around me. So these next two photos, one was taken on the kit lens of the 2860 lens, okay, but this time I decided to take it at 28mm, so that just means a wider image. When it comes to focal length, the lower the number, the bigger the picture. This is where it starts to get confusing, because you think, okay, so the lower the number of the aperture, more blurry it gets. Okay, so the lower the number of the focal length, the bigger the image. Oh, okay. Anyway, so these two pictures, one was taken at 28mm, so you can see a much bigger portion of the area around me. Everything's in focus because it's just at a higher aperture, so everything's in focus, just a bigger general picture. The next picture was taken again at 50mm, but with the lower aperture, and as you can see, really nice effect. I think it's what I enjoy in a photo, of everything being blurred on the background. So that's not the only thing that plays a big effect with the aperture. Aperture also lets in more light. So that means you can shoot in a lower light circumstance. So when you're indoors and it's slightly darker, you can reduce that aperture and it will bring in more light to your picture. So it just gives you more playing with. I'm going to do some more pictures with different circumstance to show you what I'm talking about. So let's have a look. Ah! Oh, I missed it completely. So here we are. In my bedroom, I just set up a little photo shoot with blue. It does look like it's pretty light in here, but I promise you, it is dark. So these are just the photos with the 50mm at f1.8. Let's swap the lens. So this is 28-60mm lens now. And as you can see, instantly the photo's a lot darker because the f-stop can only go to 5.6. So now I have to change the ISO up. Trouble is, you want to keep a lower ISO so you keep more detail in the photo. So even though the photo looks better, it's actually going to be grainier when you look at it bigger. So we adjust the ISO again. Yeah, it looks alright. But just remember, the higher the ISO, the less detail in that photo. So here they are, just two edits next to each other. You can see the one on the left is actually more detailed and less noisy than the one on the right. So that's it. Just a little example of how the aperture can change your pictures. A little bit lower, more light. You can work with more things. And that's it. So, until next time, take it easy. Mwah.